Okay, so I'm going to be going over my top 15 NFL QBs for this up-and-coming NFL season. Honorable mentions, by the way, go to Tua Tagovailoa, Daniel Jones, Kenny Pickett, Derek Carr, and Geno Smith. If you want to see me rank the rest of the QBs for this up-and-coming NFL season, please like the video and let me know in the comments. But anyways, let's get right into my list. At number 15 is a QB who got a couple young weapons this offseason, but he has no O-line and his defense is kind of mediocre. The QB I'm talking about is Justin Fields. Justin is a run-first QB, so his career will most likely not last that long, unless he can develop his arm a little bit more. But it really stinks for Justin because he's in a really bad situation. And the problem with this situation is just GMs not knowing how to draft. I think most GMs should look at what the Lions did. Draft the trenches in the O-line and the D-line the first 2 years in the draft, or if they have to, even longer. Then you get special positions like running back, wide receivers, and quarterbacks. But since Justin's in a bad situation, I don't see this team winning double-digit games, not even close. But I feel like he'll continue to be an explosive player, and I think he'll have really good stats next season, if he can stay healthy. At number 14, I have Deshaun Watson. Before the incident, Deshaun Watson was a top 5 QB in the NFL, arguably. He had really good stats, and he went far in the playoffs, even beating the Bills. But this Cleveland Browns team's pretty solid. I mean, they have the potential to make the playoffs. Not saying they will, but I feel like they could make the playoffs. The only problem is their division's really good. They'll have to get a better record than the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers, which all three of those teams could possibly make the playoffs this year. I think Deshaun will play very solid this year. I don't see him being a top 10 QB, but I see him like right outside that top 10. I feel like a lot of the games the Browns will play will be very close, but I don't see him winning the division. I think they could make the wild card, but we'll see what happens. At number 13, I have Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray's another run-first QB, and he did have a really good season that year before he got injured. But the reason why I don't have him higher on this list is because he lost DeAndre Hopkins, so his stats are going to probably go down. Well, at least throwing the ball. Maybe his run stats will go up. I mean, Kyler has all the talent in the world, and he's young, but I just don't know what he's going to do with this team. It looks like the Arizona Cardinals are going downhill, but they still do have a slim chance of making the playoffs since their division's kind of questionable. If they were to make it, it would probably be a wild card spot, but I don't know if I see this happening. I feel like Kyler Murray would just be a quarterback having really good stats, but on a really bad team. At number 12, I have Dak Prescott. The Cowboys are always a team that will make the playoffs, and they'll either win a game or they'll lose in the first round, which shows that they're a very consistent team. And Dak Prescott's very consistent with his rankings. I feel like he's always either outside the top 10 barely or barely in the top 10. But this year I have Dak Prescott at 12 because there's a lot of QB talent, especially in that top 10. And I think we can all see that it's a new era of football now. There's going to be a lot of new young QBs who are going to be taking over and stepping up for their teams. And Dak's now getting up there with age. He's now 30 years old. But Dak's a very good veteran QB at this point of his career, and he can still win you football games. At number 11, I have Jared Goff. Right now, Jared Goff is entering the prime of his career, and he's on a very good young Lions squad, which has a really good head coach, really good GM, and it seems like they're playing chess up in Detroit because Brad Holmes seems to be ahead of all the other GMs right now. But back to Jared Goff, he had a really good completion percentage last year, and he has a really good O-line up in Detroit. I would say a top 5 O-line in the league. He's got good weapons in Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jameson Williams is going to be coming back in the middle of the season. They somehow upgraded their already really good run game and even their defense. So I feel like Detroit can win definitely double-digit games. I feel like Jared Goff will have very good completion percentages and lead this team to a bunch of wins. At number 10 is a guy who's coming off an injury, but the year before the injury, he did win a Super Bowl. The player I'm talking about is Matthew Stafford. This guy has had a lot of injuries in his career and has proven that he can come off of injuries and still win you football games. He's always had very good stats, and he makes his wide receivers play even better with his arm talent. I think it's crazy that people are overlooking the Rams. Sure, they might have lost a lot of talent, but they still have enough talent to be a wild card team, or at least in that range. The floor is pretty bad, but the ceiling isn't too bad, especially when you have a QB like Matthew Stafford who can win bad teams football games. And don't underestimate Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. These two are electric when they play together. But anyways, number 9 is Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been a very similar quarterback to Dak Prescott, always making it to the playoffs, then getting eliminated in the first round, or making it to the second round. And he's always either barely outside outside the top 10 or barely in the top 10. He's a very consistent quarterback. But the difference is Kirk Cousins is aging like wine. His body has not fallen apart yet, even though bro's 35 years old. But also the difference between Dak and Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins makes better decisions on the field. And in my opinion, Kirk Cousins has a way better arm than Dak Prescott. The reason why Dak's not aging well is because he was more of a scrambler quarterback compared to Kirk Cousins. This Vikings squad might have lost a lot of depth, but they still have Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. As long as their young guys can step up and Kirk Cousins continues to do his thing, this team can probably make a wild card spot. Even if they don't, Kirk Cousins will continue to have amazing stats as long as he doesn't get injured, because that O-line kind of scares me a bit. They definitely should have drafted some O-line this year or got some O-line in free agency. At number 8 is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had a really good season last year, making it to the playoffs and winning a playoff game. Maybe in a couple years, Trevor Lawrence could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL because he has a lot of potential. This Jaguars team also has a lot of potential, and I definitely see this team making the playoffs this year. At number 7 is Aaron Rodgers. I just want to say thank you, Aaron Rodgers, for leaving the NFC North. I'm a pretty big Lions fan, and I just want to say every team in the North was tired of this guy. Whenever a team from the North would play the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, the refs were blind. And if they somehow lost, Aaron Rodgers would whine about it. It was horrible. But besides this man's being a grown-ass baby, he does have football skill. Every year, he's pretty much been a top 10 QB. He's 39 years old, and he's still doing it. And him and the Jets are going to go crazy. I don't think they'll win the division. I think the Bills will win it. But I still think it'll be a very close battle between those two teams. At number 6 is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is a very good quarterback. He's going to be entering his prime pretty soon, and he won an MVP in the past. But he still needs offensive weapons. But compared to most quarterbacks, he's always had a good defense and a good O-line and good tight ends. He's just missing that wide receiver 1. OBJ would be a very good wide receiver 2, but they still are missing a wide receiver 1. I think the only thing stopping Lamar from being higher up on this list is injury problems. At number 5 is Justin Herbert. Ever since Justin Herbert got into the league, everyone knew he was super talented. But the one thing that hasn't allowed this kid to be successful, especially in the playoffs, is coaching. He's always had bad coaching, and it's unfortunate that Keenan Allen is getting older. I think he's like 31, and Mike Williams can't stay healthy for a full season, it feels like. But if Mike Williams can stay healthy, then this team is chilling, and I think Justin Herbert is going to be a top 5 QB this year. He definitely has the talent to do that, and he'll definitely make the playoffs this year. At number 4 is Jalen Hurts. It was a really impressive year by Jalen Hurts last year, making it all the way to the Super Bowl, almost winning an MVP, and having the best regular season record in the NFL. This year, I expect him to win 11 to 12 games and be one of the top QBs in the NFL. At number 3 is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has always had lots of weapons, but he's also taken advantage of those weapons. Joe Burrow with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd, and Joe Mixon will end up winning double-digit games this year. I expect Joe Burrow to be a top 3 player in passing yards and top 5 in touchdowns. He has one of the best arms in the NFL, but the thing is, his arm isn't better than the next 2 players I'm about to bring up on this list. And one of those players are number 2, Josh Allen. If you need someone to win a shootout against Patrick Mahomes, the best guy to ask for that would probably be Josh Allen. He easily has the second best arm in the NFL currently. I feel like the only thing that's preventing Josh Allen from winning a Super Bowl is a wide receiver 2 and a running back. This team desperately needs a running back, and I'm surprised they haven't traded for Jonathan Taylor yet. But if this team gets a running back, they could easily be the best team in the NFL. I definitely believe that Josh Allen will lead the Bills to double-digit wins this season. And finally, number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Last year, Patrick Mahomes proved why he's the best QB in the league, leading the Chiefs to a Super Bowl victory without Tyreek Hill, winning regular season MVP and Super Bowl MVP. He won double-digit games last year, and I expect him to do the same this year. He won his division last year, and I expect him to also win his division this year. It might be a little bit tough with the Chargers, but I think they'll barely win the division, either by a game or 2, or even 3. It just depends on how healthy the Chargers are. Thank you for watching. If you guys made it this far in the video, please leave a comment letting me know you made it this far, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.